Hello, I'm Ashley. For the past 10 years, I've been actively involved in my husband Mark's family-run business. The company, led by my father-in-law Anthony, employs about 8 people. Anthony prefers to stay out of the daily operations, leaving most of the hands-on work to Mark, who is likely to be the next leader of the company. Mark's dedication to client relationships and new initiatives injects a dynamic and spirited energy into the workplace, especially during major projects. Recently, tensions have arisen involving my mother-in-law Martha, who seems uneasy about my role in the business. One day, after I left work early to prepare dinner while Mark stayed late, Martha confronted me. Her pointed question, "How long are you going to stay in our family business?" felt more like a critique than a genuine inquiry. She insinuated that my marriage was merely a convenience to secure a position at the company, suggesting that I was exploiting the situation. This wasn't the first time she had expressed such sentiments, and her constant accusations were becoming a recurring strain. When I married Mark, I made a deliberate choice to leave my previous job and join the family business, not out of necessity, but because I wanted to contribute to its growth. I tried to clarify this to Martha, explaining, "It's not that I couldn't work elsewhere. I chose to be here." However, she seemed fixed in her assumptions. The discord with Martha extended beyond our conversations. Despite her commitment to take over household responsibilities upon retirement, she seldom contributed, often declaring, "I've worked all my life, now it's the daughter-in-law's turn to manage the home." Consequently, I found myself frequently handling both dinner preparations and cleanup duties. One afternoon, determined to address a growing household issue, I approached Martha cautiously about the unwashed dishes that often accumulated in the sink. I suggested, "It would help if you could clean up after yourself." Instead of responding constructively, Martha accused me of overstepping my boundaries as a daughter-in-law and attempting to impose rules in her house. This reaction only added to the complexities of our relationship, highlighting the challenges we faced within both the family and the business dynamics. Concerned about the dinner delay due to our ongoing argument, I maintained my composure and suggested to Martha, "Let's discuss this later. I need to start on dinner." She agreed and moved to the living room, allowing me to concentrate on preparing the meal. Both Anthony and Mark had witnessed Martha's harsh treatment towards me and attempted to intervene, when possible, but their efforts often seemed futile. When they did speak up, it typically exacerbated Martha's animosity towards me, diminishing the effect of their support. Despite their concern and attempts to mediate, Martha's cutting remarks continued to hurt me deeply. While I never experienced physical abuse, the emotional pain was significant. The support from Anthony and Mark was essential for me to manage the distress caused by Martha's hostility. However, our strained relations reached a peak one particularly difficult morning. After cleaning up from breakfast and preparing to leave for work, Martha unexpectedly lashed out. She shouted, pointing at a mess, "Oh my, what a trash heap!" And suddenly she threw a bucket of water on my handbag. Shocked and angered, I confronted her, asking, "What are you doing?" Her response was dismissive and almost juvenile. "Oh, was that your stuff? I thought it was just a big piece of trash." Her indifference infuriated me further. Even if you thought it was trash, who pours water on it? I struggled to make sense of her lack of empathy. As we faced each other in the morning light, Martha's expression was cold and resolute, as if she had decided to escalate matters further. Frustrated and confused, I noted the additional chaos her actions caused. "Now the carpet is soaked, and what about the vacuum cleaner?" I tried to salvage my important work documents, drying them as best as possible. Martha's chilling indifference continued as she declared, "You don't need to go to work anymore." Her words left me bewildered. "Excuse me?" I replied, stunned and in disbelief. Martha's subsequent remark was like a dagger to my heart. "You've been clinging to this house for 10 years. Her words reflected a deep-seated resentment that seemed to justify her drastic actions, adding a profound layer of tension to our already strained relationship. But today, Martha declared she could finally be rid of me. Her voice brimmed with an anger and resolve I had never witnessed in her before. I was engulfed by sadness and confusion. "Getting rid of me?" I echoed, my voice shaking, feeling utterly alienated from the family. "My daughter is joining the company, so you need to leave." "Today is your last day. Just bow your head to your father-in-law and Mark and apologize for all the trouble you've caused," she stated, her mocking laughter piercing deeper into my spirit. She was leveraging my job to exile me. I had poured years into this role, fostering respect and forging lasting memories. I was stunned and heartbroken, baffled at how my efforts could seem so trivial to her. "Are you sure about this? Wasn't Jennifer working at a clothing store in New York?" I asked, both confused and concerned. My job was more than a source of income. It was a significant part of my life. Meanwhile, Jennifer, my sister-in-law, had grown weary of city life and the impersonal interactions in New York. She said she was tired of dealing with the cold people there, so I promised her a job when she came back, Martha declared conclusively. "She's coming back immediately, and now that she is, I want you out of this house." Her words struck me like an icy blast, overturning my life and nullifying my role in the family without any room for discussion. She handed me an envelope. "I've written your resignation letter," she stated, effectively banishing me from our home. At that moment, my heart was completely shattered. All my years of hard work and dedication seemed dismissed as mere scraps of paper. Martha's actions had torn the fabric of our family bond, leaving it deeply scarred. With a heavy heart, I walked the short 10 minutes to the company, a path I had traveled countless times before, each step now laden with the weight of my sudden, unwelcome severance from a life I had cherished. But never before had I walked this route with such a whirlwind of emotions swirling around me. Each step under the cool morning sky felt laden with the gravity of the situation. When I reached the office, I shared Martha's drastic decision with my father-in-law Anthony and my husband Mark. They were visibly shocked, yet managed to maintain their composure amidst the upheaval. They gently suggested that perhaps stepping away for a while might illuminate for Martha the true impact of her demands. This suggestion plunged my heart into deeper turmoil. Having invested so much into the family business, the notion of taking a break longer than a brief holiday was both daunting and alien. Encouraged by Mark and Anthony's supportive advice, "Why don't you spread your wings for a change?" I resolved to take a short trip. As I packed, I reflected deeply on the decisions I had made in my life and pondered what the future might hold. Meanwhile, my sister-in-law Jennifer, who was supposed to step into my role, showed up unexpectedly late at 3 p.m. Her nonchalant demeanor left Mark and Anthony both frustrated and bewildered. Despite their efforts to integrate her into the business, Jennifer displayed little interest, which further fueled my concerns for the company's future, even as I looked forward to my journey. Leaving without a final word to Martha, I swiftly boarded the train. As it started moving, I gazed out at the evolving landscape, using the journey as a moment to think about my past and envision my future. The trip offered me a needed respite and an opportunity to indulge in local seafood delicacies. My thoughts frequently wandered back to my family and the business. On the 5th day of my getaway, my tranquility was abruptly disrupted by a tearful call from Jennifer. "What's going on? Mom said it was an easy job just sitting in a chair, but Mark and Dad are acting like I can't do anything right," she lamented. Her words echoed the misleading assurances Martha had probably given her, highlighting the disconnect between the expectations set by my mother-in-law and the reality of running a family business. This revelation made me deeply aware of the challenges Jennifer was facing, challenges I knew all too well. Despite enjoying a more relaxed pace on my trip, Jennifer's call made it clear that she needed help understanding the reality of her new responsibilities. I started by asking, "Jennifer, how good are you with computers?" Detecting her hesitation, she mentioned, "Well, I usually watch videos online and play games too." Her response suggested a lack of proficiency with computers. Curious, I probed further about her familiarity with basic software tools like Word or Excel, essential for tasks such as tracking sales and managing inventory, especially given her background in the New York apparel industry. Her confused reply was unexpected. "Can you handle calculations for sales or fill out documents?" I inquired. She confidently claimed she could manage those tasks. However, her certainty faltered when I asked, "Can you calculate the correct amount of tax?" Her uncertain answer revealed more than just shaky math skills. It highlighted a gap in applying these skills in a business context. While Jennifer might possess other talents, it became evident that she was unsure about the skills needed for the job. Her discomfort with calculations seemed to contribute significantly to the criticism from Anthony and Mark. Recognizing the broader implications, I confronted the motives behind my mother-in-law's push to replace me. "Since you're taking over my role, I expect you to manage the accounting tasks properly," I stated. I emphasized the importance of maintaining professional email etiquette and the responsibility of scheduling staff shifts. "Our team is small, but we take everyone's requests for time off seriously. Make sure not to prioritize your convenience over theirs," I advised her firmly. As I continued to outline her responsibilities, I could hear Jennifer sobbing on the other end of the line. It was a challenging conversation, but necessary for her to grasp the reality and expectations of her new role. Overwhelmed, Jennifer abruptly ended the call. Over the next 3 days, I took the opportunity to explore New York, the city Jennifer had recently left. Contrary to my expectations, shaped by Jennifer's complaints about its people, I found the locals to be warmer than anticipated, a stark contrast to the chilly demeanor of my mother-in-law, Martha and Jennifer, who seemed keen on pushing me out. A week after resigning from my job, my experiences in New York offered a refreshing perspective and a poignant reminder of the complexities of family dynamics back home. As soon as I returned to my in-laws' house, Martha confronted me, her face red with fury. "How dare you make my daughter cry? You won't get away with this," she yelled, her eyes filled with a mix of anger and confusion. Before she could approach me, Mark and Anthony intervened, trying to soothe the situation. Despite their efforts, Martha's anger seemed unyielding. Mark spoke up, calm yet firm. "Jennifer is upset because she scolded her employees, yet she doesn't fully understand the job herself. It's not Ashley's fault. Besides, Ashley hasn't been here for a week, so she couldn't have upset Jennifer directly." Martha retorted emotionally, "It's because of her. This woman is the reason for Jennifer's troubles," accusing me baselessly. Curious about Jennifer's whereabouts, I looked around the room but didn't see her. "Where is Jennifer, by the way?" I asked, adding to the tension. "It's odd. Jennifer has nowhere else to go since she gave up her apartment in New York." "I assumed she'd be here," I remarked, puzzled. Mark then informed us, "Jennifer's locked herself in her room. She's been crying and doesn't want to go to work anymore. She's overwhelmed because she doesn't have the skills needed for the job." Martha, still visibly upset, accused, "You've been turning Mark and Anthony against me. They wouldn't say the company is doing better with Ashley instead of Jennifer unless Ashley made them think badly about her." Mark sighed deeply, clearly exhausted by the ongoing family drama and his fruitless attempts to resolve the misunderstanding. "Mom," he started again, hoping to clarify, "it might sound unusual, but Ashley is really good at her job. She's certified in bookkeeping, she's great at secretarial work, and she even studied Spanish abroad. She manages all the multilingual communications of the company." He stated this proudly, highlighting my qualifications, which seemed to take Martha by surprise, as she was unaware of my extensive capabilities. As Martha skeptically mumbled that my life sounded like something from a TV show, I reflected on my college days. I was intensely focused on earning various certifications and immersed in my studies, leaving little room for social activities or romance. It was during this busy period that I met Mark. He had visited my company for business, and as I recounted the story of our first meeting, I hoped to dispel any misunderstandings and share the real texture of our lives. However, I soon realized that Martha was not interested in hearing about my qualifications or past achievements. Refocusing the conversation on the present, I detailed my extensive responsibilities at the company. I handle accounting, scheduling, liaising with other companies, and managing employee shifts, I explained, outlining my role's breadth. Mark chimed in, "The work environment has improved significantly since you became less involved, Mom." Martha looked taken aback by his comment. At that moment, Anthony, Mark's father, delivered unexpected news. "We're considering closing the company soon. Jennifer made a significant mistake. Instead of preparing some important documents, she decided to answer phone calls because she thought it would be more fun. While we were away, she was rude to an important contact from another company, which could lead to serious problems." I was stunned by the revelation and instinctively covered my mouth with my hand. "I can't believe Jennifer would do something like that," I murmured, filled with disbelief and concern about how her actions might jeopardize the company. Just when I thought the situation couldn't get more complicated, it took another dramatic turn. When I explained our situation to the president of the other company, he suggested it might be time to consider merging our companies, Anthony continued. He was interested in taking over our family business. This news was as unexpected as it was significant, casting a new light on our predicaments and opening up potential new paths for the future of our company. The prospect of a merger brought a glimmer of hope as it could potentially stabilize our customer base, a goal Mark had diligently worked towards through his sales efforts. While the news provided some relief to Mark and Anthony, Martha reacted sharply, unable to hide her dissatisfaction. "That's not acceptable. Mark should become the president. This is our company, isn't it? He shouldn't just be an employee," she exclaimed passionately, struggling to come to terms with the idea of losing the prestige that came with owning the company. Her outburst not only heightened the tension, but also drew Jennifer downstairs, curious about the commotion. Amid the chaos, Anthony, maintaining a calm yet firm demeanor, dropped a bombshell. "I am divorcing you. You've resisted change, neglected your responsibilities at home and to the family, and I've also discovered your affairs with younger men. I can't condone this behavior any longer," he declared, stunning everyone, especially Mark and me. Anthony then proceeded to place some divorce papers and a photograph of Martha with a young man on the table from a shelf in the living room. "Look at these divorce papers now and pack up your things. I won't ask for alimony. Trying to get money from you would be pointless," he stated firmly. "How can you say that? Haven't I dedicated myself to this house all these years?" Martha protested. Anthony retorted, "Have you done any real housework in the last 10 years? Spending someone else's money on young men doesn't count as devotion to this house." His tone was more frustrated than we had ever heard, revealing a stern side of Anthony that was usually masked by his mild-mannered nature. This confrontation brought deep-seated issues to the forefront, shaking the very foundations of the family dynamics. The sight of Anthony, usually so composed, visibly upset, was a shock to everyone, especially to Jennifer, who had just entered the room. She stood there, slightly trembling, visibly shocked and scared by the unfolding events. Anthony continued, turning his attention to Jennifer. "This affects you too, Jennifer. You came back because you couldn't make it on your own in New York, and now you can't even secure a job here." His words, firm and unequivocal, underscored the harsh realities the family was facing. In the turmoil, Anthony's words cut deeper, addressing Jennifer's apparent lack of effort and responsibility. "And you act like you're above everyone else. You've stopped trying to work altogether and seem to be avoiding responsibilities. It's time for you to leave this house as well," he declared, his tone resolute. Jennifer was visibly stunned, her expression a mix of confusion and denial. "Wait a minute, Dad. Even if Mom has her problems, I'm still your daughter, right?" she protested, her voice desperate as she clung to her place in the family. Martha, already wounded, felt betrayed by her daughter's plea. "Are you betraying me now, Jennifer?" she asked, her voice filled with hurt and disbelief. As the tension escalated, Anthony quickly intervened to prevent further arguments. "To avoid more trouble, I've arranged for both of you to stay with someone I know until you get back on your feet. They'll be here soon to pick you up, so please pack your essential things," he instructed, his firm tone leaving no room for debate. With heavy hearts and no other options, Martha and Jennifer began to pack their belongings. Shortly after, Anthony's acquaintance, who managed a factory with living quarters, arrived to take them to their new temporary home. Meanwhile, Mark, Anthony, and I seized this moment of quiet to inform our employees about the upcoming merger with a larger company, preparing them for the changes and challenges ahead. During this period of significant transitions, I discovered I was pregnant. I shared the joyful news with the president of the company acquiring ours. He was thrilled and promised to find a suitable replacement for my position to ensure a smooth transition. With the promise of new opportunities and the excitement of our expanding family, Mark and Anthony dove into their work with renewed motivation, inspired by the bright future that lay ahead. The impending changes promised not only growth for the business, but also personal growth for our family, intertwining our professional and personal milestones in a hopeful new beginning.